Savvy Business Radio, drawing out the best from our guests with our host, Christina Nitchman.
Our guest today is Matt Schroeder, co-founder of Shelly Cove, a laid-back but trendy clothing line that celebrates sea life while giving back. Shelly Cove donates 10% of all net profits to the Karen Beasley Sea Turtle Rescue and Rehabilitation Center in Surf City, North Carolina. Find out more about Shelly Cove's awesome clothes and support wildlife at Shelly Cove, SHELLYCOVE.com. Hi, Matt. Welcome to Savvy Business Radio. How are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. I'm very blessed. We're very blessed to have you here today. You've built a very successful apparel company, which is something not too easy out there. A lot of competition, but you've also been able to add a passion of yours, which is SeaWorld and also turtles. And you're going to share a little bit of your backstory with us. How did it come for you to creating this apparel company and your passion for sea turtles?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in North Carolina, around central North Carolina. So we lived like 3-4 hours from the beach. So it was pretty easy to go vacation there. And so we would go growing up 1-2 times a year. And we'd always go. My family loved this beach, this specific beach called Topsail Island. It was pretty remote. So we'd go there and we usually vacation there, like I said, once or twice a year. Mm-hmm. Near Topsail Island, about 5 minutes from the shore, is this sea turtle hospital. It's a pretty big tourist attraction in the area because they don't have a ton there. So it's a really cool thing. And so it's basically they take sea turtles from all over the country who are all over the eastern coastline that are sick or injured in some way, and they'll take them in and rehabilitate them until they're ready to go back to the ocean. And it's completely staffed by volunteers. So, whenever we'd go to the beach, we'd go visit this sea turtle hospital. They have tours and such. And so it was really cool to go there and see the work they were doing and hear about, all the dangers to sea turtles and how all the species at the time were endangered. So that kind of just was part of my life growing up.
Wow. It's amazing what makes an impact on you as you grow up. A friend of mine has a child that's now had has had a major impact on her. And she's 2 years old, and you wouldn't think that. You don't know what's going to attract one kid or one child to one thing or another. What do you think for you was the big attraction to turtles and wildlife and sea life in particular?
I don't know. I don't know what particular. I think maybe just like the sheer beauty of it almost. Yeah. It's like just anything with wildlife. And I think maybe I was just closest growing up to that, to the ocean and to sea turtles and ocean life and all that kind of stuff. And so that, and also like all of the things that we do as humans that have a negative impact on that almost. So like, I mean, there are sea turtles that come in there for natural causes. They get cold stunned or they get, bit by a shark or something like that. But there's also sea turtles that come in that like ate a bunch of plastic or like got hit by a boat propeller or something like that. Yeah. So those are things that it's like, they wouldn't have been in here if it wasn't for us. So I think it's just something where like every now and then it causes you to step back and think like, what everything I do, what impact does it have on those around me, people and nature?
Yeah. I saw a very disturbing picture a number of years ago of a turtle that had you might have seen them. They got rid of him for a time. I don't know if they brought it back, but the thing they put around the beer cans, that little plastic thing that holds the beer in place. Yeah, they had gotten rid of that for a while, the beer distributors, because a lot of sea life was getting hurt. And I'd seen a picture of a turtle who had one of those wrapped around his stomach. And it greatly disfigured him, the poor guy. And I'm sure he has some issues with his overall, body. And those are things that we cause. But out of sight, out of mind. What I love about your company is bringing attention to that, things that we don't see. If we don't see it, we don't know, we don't pay attention to it. But this is something that's not just disturbing turtles, but disturbing all wildlife, not just sea life even.
Right. Yeah. It's everything. it's all walks of life that like anything with plastic or even like things that we don't necessarily view as invasive. Like I said, we, like boat propellers hitting a sea turtle. And I'm not like advocating that we get rid of boats or anything like that, but it is like, it's something to think about, just keeping in the back of your head.
Yeah. Actually, I live in New York and in Brooklyn, but I've gone to the Bronx Zoo. And I thought it was interesting. A number of years I was there, and they had cups where you can buy Coca-Cola and other soft drinks, and they didn't have the plastic cover. And I said to them, can I have a plastic cover so I don't spill this all over the place? They didn't have straws or plastic covers. And they said, no, we don't have that because we don't want the animal to choke on it, somehow get into the habitat of an animal and for them to swallow or chew on this plastic. And again, see, if you don't think about it, you're just using these products. You don't think about the end result and where it could end up.
Yeah. I saw some video about plastic straws, and it was like how many straws we use without even realizing it. It was an office of like 100 people, and they vowed to not use a straw for like a week, I think. And it was like they cut out like over 1,000 straws by not being used. I was like, golly, you don't think about how many straws you use, but that's a lot of plastic if you just want to, like, instead of using a straw, just sip it out of your cup.
Yeah, exactly.
So little things like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You've seen those little coffee things that they use when you have a coffee machine, and you use those little plastic things that hold the coffee, and you put it in the machine, Keurig.
Oh, yeah.
And people are like, oh, I use the pod so I don't waste, and it's better than a pot of coffee. I'm like, is it really? Because each of those things are in a plastic, and if you have like 4 cups of those a day, those are 4 plastic pods you have left at the end of the day. So,
right.
Yeah. It's just becoming aware. Now, tell people a little bit about how you came from your love of working in with sea life and turtles to building Shelly Cove, your apparel company.
Yeah, sure. So I kind of, ever since I got to college and learned about, being able to run your own business, it was sort of like a passion of mine. Like I had tried several things that didn't work out. And but I still had that like itch to, want to do something, want to be an entrepreneur in some way. So I had an internship at the time. I was studying engineering, and I knew I didn't want to do engineering. And I had this internship, and I was getting home. I was living at home that summer, and I was telling my parents how I wanted to start some sort of business. And they were like, well, we could all start one together. Like, that'd be fun. And I didn't have money. So I was like, yes, please. that'd be great. So, we put together some funds, and we started thinking of ideas, and we were like, well, we're all kind of artistic in a way. My dad designed furniture. My mom used to do, a bunch of design stuff. She's very artistic. And, I would say I'm the least design oriented out of all of them, but I still, understood that kind of stuff. So we're like, maybe apparel would be good. Like, we have a sense for fashion. And so we thought about apparel, and we were like, well, how can we what is our twist? What makes us different than other companies? And so, we got thinking like, oh, well, like the Sea Turtle Hospital, that's something that's been a part of our lives for a really long time. So we got thinking about the Sea Turtle Hospital, and we were like, well, girls like sea turtles, right? They think sea turtles are cute. So it just sort of like, from then it was just kind of like refining that idea and what exactly that looks like. And, so we landed on, printed t-shirts with really cool designs inside of a sea turtle, where we donated part of our profits to the Karen Beasley Sea Turtle Hospital.
That's great. And I know that's important to someone. And I came across an experiment we had to do in college where we had to sell. And I'll never forget it. And I've talked about it on the show before. We had to sell an invisible product. I was like, when they gave me the assignment, I was like, please, no. And mine was an invisible burrito. I was like, okay, this is not going to work. It's one thing when you're selling an intangible product, like a service that you're providing someone, information you might be providing them, but something that's an invisible burrito or invisible hula hoop. Well, it was interesting that one gal did the most sales in our class, and what she ended up doing is she came up with this script and this sales thing where she would tell people, hey, I'm selling this invisible hula hoop, but we're giving all proceeds, 100% of it, to children in Africa who are suffering, and da-da-da-da. Now, the whole point of this assignment was not to take people's money. It was to just see if you could convert. And then once
Right.
you converted them and they're willing to take out their wallet, then you say, no, this is an assignment. Thank you for helping me, blah, blah, blah. And, but she came in with 10 people pulling out their wallets, willing to pay her. And it was really based on the idea that people want to be helpful and they want to give. So when they heard that, hey, this purchase, more than anything, is going to help kids in Africa, they're like, well, I want to sign on and help there. And so I think that's one thing that a lot of businesses are getting involved in, is realizing, how can I get involved with something that is philanthropy based, but something that I care about truly. It's not something that's fake, but something I truly care about that others will also care about and also want to give to.
Right. And I think that this is like such a cool, and I hope it's not just a trend. I hope it's a long view of how businesses should be run. But I think it's a really cool direction we're heading in business, where businesses are trying to be charitable. Because I studied economics after I switched from engineering, and so I'm all about like efficiency. Everything needs to be as efficient as possible, and it's so much more efficient for businesses to donate to charity than it is for an individual. There's just so much more that can be done with volume. So if somebody's going to buy a t-shirt anyway, why not buy a t-shirt where they know that part of that money is going to charity, rather than buying the t-shirt and then like, oh, I'll donate. I mean, not to say that they shouldn't also donate, like $20 to charity or something like that. Absolutely. But I think there's a bigger impact in large numbers of people who maybe would have bought the shirt anyway, even if the money hadn't gone to charity. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's just more to it.
Yeah. And in even grander scale, there was a company many years ago that specifically, as an employee, I wanted to work for, because they're huge. They're really huge. But what they're really about, and is very important to them in their corporate culture and value system, is giving back. And so what they do once or twice a year is every employee is put out there into the environment to pick a charity that they will help, and the company pays them like it's a work day. So they go out into the community and help with the homeless, or help with, bringing food to people in need. And I wanted to work for that company because I said, wow, for one, they were giving to a couple of charities I cared about. Number two, I thought, how cool is that? I get, paid like a regular employee that day, but I get to go and help the community. And so you're right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and you give that much more back because it's in volume. And on top of it, I've heard of businesses where they allow the employees to give a portion of their paycheck to the charity of their choice. So that way, here we are in bulk, in a big community, giving, having a greater impact on the environment and on the community.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So cool. I love the direction we're heading with businesses.
Now, tell me what some of the things were that were most difficult in setting up Shelly Cove, because as we all know as business owners, it's not always easy to build a business from scratch. It sounds great when you're in the brainstorm thing and you're like, oh, this is going to take off, it's going to be awesome, but it's not always working out the way we plan. What were some of the hurdles you had to overcome?
Yeah. So I think when you're setting up a business, it's certainly a roller coaster. Anybody who's done it can probably attest for that. It's, you start out, you have these grand ideas and you're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. We're just going to get t-shirts. We're going to put them on the website and sell them. Easy peasy. And then you get thinking about it. You're like, okay, I have to find a supplier. I have to find a screen printer. I have to find out packaging information. I have to know how to set up the website. And then you slowly start getting all that you figured out and you're like, okay, yeah, I got this. And this is going to be awesome. And then you find way more things that become a challenge. And it's like the constant, yes, I overcame my last struggle, and then you find more struggles. So I'd say the first big hurdle for us was probably, I generally knew how to set up a website. I was familiar with Shopify. So I would say probably finding suppliers, getting like wholesale accounts with things, with companies, because it's like you have no history. And so it's like, okay, yeah, you're a new company. Sure. I'm sure you want a wholesale account. It's like, no, we really do. And so that, and also like figuring out like logistics. We're like, we had to learn everything from the ground up, like shipping. Shipping sounds really easy, but when you're shipping different things with different dimensions and different weights, it almost becomes an art, and especially starting out, you try and save every penny you can. So you're like, which method is best? Which box should I ship this in? So that was a struggle. And also marketing, honestly, we had no prior experience doing marketing for a small company. So, I had to learn Facebook ads. I had to learn email marketing. I had to learn, I was familiar with social media because I'm a 20 something. We all have social media, but it was like, how do I use social media to sell stuff? How do I get it in front of people without annoying them? Yeah. That kind of thing. So there was a lot of stuff.
And tell me, Matt, for the finance aspect, now that's a big thing for businesses that come out. How did you get the startup funds? Did you have a savings account you booked from? Did you go out and get investors? How did that work?
Oh yeah. So it was all self-funded. So, I had money from the internship I was working at, and then, my parents had some money saved up. So, we put that together, and it wasn't an absurd amount. It was easily under $10,000 total, to start it. And that was for our first run of shirts. I want to say it was a total of 500 shirts that we got starting out. So 500 shirts, 5 designs, so 100 shirts each design. And, photographs, I had a camera. And so I took the photographs, the website, the domain, that was all, you have a free month on Shopify starting out. Yeah. So it was like, I would say totally under $10,000. So, I can't say I'm too familiar with going out and getting funding from other individuals, so I can't touch on advice there. Yeah. But I can say that it is totally possible to start your own business for, not an absurd amount of money. Even with the availability of things like drop shipping through like Oberlo, you can get started for I'd say under $500 if you really wanted to. So there's nothing really holding people back from starting a business other than just the will to learn and adapt. Yeah.
And here's one question that's popping up in my mind. There's so much noise out there. And you mentioned that earlier. There's so many apparel companies, so many other companies. And you said, build a website. Great. Will they show up? Will they know I exist? How did you break through the noise to actually get people to notice and want to, purchase from you guys?
Yeah. So, that's where it gets tricky. And that's, I think, the biggest question I get from like my friends and people growing up. They're like, how did people find out about you? It's like, we didn't just throw our website up and then, magic happens and then people show up. It's, you have to be strategic. So, one of the big things we did was worked with Instagram influencers. Ooh. So that was a big thing starting out is, before we launched, we found influencers on Instagram, very large followings who were willing to either, we would either pay them money and they would give us sort of a shout out and say like, hey, check out this company. They're doing really cool stuff. Or we'd send them something and they'd take a picture in it and post it. So that got the ball rolling. And I know a lot of people maybe have talked about influencer marketing. Yes. And it's certainly like hit or miss. We definitely had some influencers who we sent stuff and they just never posted. It's like, really? All right, I think that's stealing.
Yeah, I think that's called stealing. Yes.
Yeah. So, that didn't happen a lot, but you definitely have to be careful. It's not all easy. So, staying organized is another thing. I remember I sent an influencer something, and this was before I realized I needed to stay organized with this. Yes. 2 months passed and I was going through all my Instagram messages and I was like, oh, I don't think they ever posted. And I reached out and I was like, hey, we're still looking for that post from you. She was like, oh my goodness, I totally forgot. I'll get that up tonight. Wow. So staying, and she did. I honestly think she just forgot. And so staying, getting a spreadsheet of like, this is their Instagram username. This is what I sent them. This is when I sent it to them. If I don't see a post from them by this date, I should send a follow-up. Yeah. That kind of thing. That has become super helpful with working with influencers for me, because it allows me to, I just look at my spreadsheet and I'm like, oh, it's this date. Let's see if this influencer posted something. And if they didn't, I send them a follow-up. And usually they come back and say like, oh yeah, it'll be up Friday or something like that.
Now for the influencers who never followed up, would you send them a post or an email and say, hey, we never noticed anything and they just didn't answer? Is that what happened a few times?
It happened, I want to say twice, and they pretty much just never answered. And it's frustrating, but it was just, I didn't pay them money. I just sent them a product. So I didn't get too bent out of shape about it. I'm sure, there was a lot on our plate at the time. So I didn't want to waste too much time on it, especially if they weren't going to post anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to happen. Unfortunately, the world is just full of people who, try to take advantage. So, something to price into your cost of influencer marketing, I guess, is the possibility of people not posting. But overall, I'd say influencer marketing is really beneficial, especially the first thing people look at usually is the number of followers an influencer has.
Yes.
And that's great. Like if they have 1 million followers, really cool. But if I look at their post and I see they're getting 1,000 likes a post, that's really the metric that matters. the number of, engagements they get. It's like, yeah, cool. They have 1 million followers, but none of them see it. So
if none of them are, as you say, engaging, like talking to each other, or talking about the product or about the person, it was interesting. I saw recently, I think it was Instagram, this person on Instagram had reached out to this kind of very, very nice hotel in England and said, hey, my boyfriend and I would like to do something nice for Valentine's. So we were thinking, since I'm an influencer, could you just give us a free room for the weekend and blah, blah, blah. And we'll mention you or something like that. And the person's like, but it was the way you go about asking an influencer, or if you're an influencer yourself, reaching out to someone like you, it's like it's got to feel like you're really in this to help someone, not just there to get free stuff. And
Yeah. And we've definitely had people who, maybe they are influencers or maybe they just say they're influencers, reach out to us and they're like, hey, can I get a free shirt? And you look and it's like, you get 50 likes per picture. That's what my friends get. You're no different than my normal friend. It's like, I wouldn't really consider you an influencer and you're just asking for free stuff. So no, sorry.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's something to look out for as a business owner, business owner, rule number 1 of influencer marketing, look at the number of likes they get per post.
Okay.
That's first thing I do. So I know that's really not on the topic of what we were discussing.
No, but it's
sorry, I tend to
important.
ramble a little bit.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very important. And because also I'm thinking what's also important is not only how much engagement the particular influencer may get, but are they also reaching out to my target market? We've had some people want to come on the show, but really have nothing that would be something our audience would love to hear from. And so, it's important, like, is the person you're reaching out to, the influencer, someone who would connect with the people who would be interested in what I have to offer?
Yes, exactly. You definitely want to make sure that this influencer that you're trying to work with actually reaches people that you're trying to sell to. Otherwise, they're going to see the post and just say, what in the world? Okay. And just keep scrolling. They're not even going to remember it.
Yeah.
So definitely make sure that you're selling to the right market.
Absolutely. And one thing I really, really love, and we touched on this in the beginning of the interview, is you're giving back and your philanthropy to SeaWorld and Sea Life. And you have already given over 6 figures in profits to wildlife sanctuaries, homeless shelters, not as well, mental health initiatives, and many, many more. Share a little bit about the giving you've done as a company and what your plans are in the future.
Obviously continue with our mission of donating to the Sea Turtle Hospital. Our partnership with them has been really great. And we love working with them. In the future, we're looking at doing some more things with, the future of how sea life is protected.
Yeah.
So we're thinking of starting a charity, a scholarship for marine life studies. So students who want to go study marine biology, they can apply to our scholarship, and we haven't figured out the dollar amount or what it's going to be. But that's something on a roadmap. Unfortunately, marine biologists are very underpaid, and they do it because they're passionate about the sea life. And we want to make sure that we're getting top quality content in our future generations, top quality talent, in our future generations going to work in our sea life. So hopefully our scholarship will help out some lucky students.
Yeah. And that's often the case for specialties such as science-related marine biologists or teachers, is often they don't get paid what they should get paid, but they do it for the love of it. And not everyone might be aware. I wasn't aware of this. I don't know a lot about sea life myself. I had someone on a couple of years ago that has a passion for penguins, and there's 17 different types of penguins. I had no idea. I thought there's 1 or 2 different types. But for sea life here, when it comes to sea turtles, there are a total of 7 different species, and of the 7, 6 are on the endangered species list, which is interesting for folks to know. Their lifespan, which I also did not know, mirrors that of a human. So they stick around for quite a long time, from 50 to 100 years. So we want to keep them healthy and alive and for their whole cycle and being able to enjoy life to the fullest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sea turtles can live to be over 100, which is pretty incredible. It's really cool. And we certainly want to keep those, that species alive. Beautiful creature.
Absolutely. Now, everyone can find out more and get their very own shirts today and find out more about sea turtles and support sanctuaries at Shelly Cove, which is SHELLYCOVE.com, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yes. So you can find out more about our mission, and you can, there's links to the Karen Beasley Sea Turtle Hospital, which I'm blanking on the, let me look up their name real quick, the URL. It's seaturtlehospital.org. I thought that was it. I didn't want to give the wrong URL on the air. So you can find out more about their mission at seaturtlehospital.org. It's the Karen Beasley Sea Turtle Hospital. They do really great stuff.
Yes, and I can attest, I've been checking out your wonderful shirts, and they're gorgeous. I particularly like the one on your front page there, the kind of bright pink one. I'm a pink fan, and so I have to get me one of those. But everyone, please go check it out, because you're also helping a good cause as well as getting good quality product. And I just want to thank you again, Matt, for coming to share your great wisdom today on Savvy Business Radio.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Savvy Business Radio broadcasts worldwide via a large podcast network, celebrating business owners, entrepreneurs, influencers, and successful individuals. Find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest. Call 732-474-7375 or email Christina at SavvyBusinessRadio.com.